Good morning, people. You've probably heard about this famous poet named William Shakespeare. But have you ever knew about the life of this famous poet? Because today we're going to talk about the life of William Shakespeare.
William Shakespeare was born in Stamford-upon-Avon, a small market town in Wiltshire, England. His exact birthday is unknown, but tradition holds it to be April 23rd of 1564. A day later celebrated both as his birthday and coincidentally the day of his death in 1616. What we do know for certain is that he was baptized on April 26th of 1564 at the parish church of Holy Trinity in Stamford. The year of his birth was a dangerous time for town, and an outbreak of the plague struck Stamford and claimed the lives of many infants. Shakespeare's survival during this pandemic was remarkable, and perhaps he shared the sense of morality and the frailty of life that appears so often in his later works. Now, looking at Shakespeare's background, which had misfortune, we got his father, John Shakespeare, which was a tradesman by profession, and he worked as a glove-maker, a tanner, and also a wood dealer. But he was merely a craftsman. His ambition and revelation earned him the positions of authority at Stafford. He served as a batsman or town councillor, and eventually as a bailiff, the equivalent of mayor. This position likely gave his children access to opportunities such as free education at the town's grammar school. However, John's fortunes declined when William was in his teenage years. He faced financial difficulties and legal difficulties, which reduced the family's standing and may have forced William to show his past and make his family's fortune go away. Now, on the other hand, we got his mother, which was Mary Eden, that came from a well-established farming family in Warwickshire. The Edens were of Catholic background, which is significant considering the religious tensions of the time in the Protestant England. Mary inherited land and property from her family, which initially gave social status and wealth to the Shakespeare family. Now, speaking more about William, he was the third of 8 children, even though not all of them survived their childhood, which was common on the Elizabethan era. As the eldest surviving son, he carried the both weight of family and expectations, and the responsibility of contributing on the family legacy.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about childhood and education of William Shakespeare. About his childhood environment, William Shakespeare grew up in a family home on Henley Street, and this place or building has preserved during time and survived today, known as Shakespeare's birthplace. And this is also one of the most visited literary landmarks in the world. Moreover, about the place he grew up in was itself a market town of about 1,500 inhabitants, and it was called Stratford upon Avon, and it was linked to London by major roads. It also was surrounded a lot by fertile farmlands, and William Shakespeare grew up in this environment, and because of this he developed a rhythm of rural lives, seasonal festivals, and the bustling trade of a market community. Religiously, England in the late 1500s was marked by tension between Catholics and Protestants, and Stratford reflected this division. Officially Protestant, the town nevertheless included Catholic sympathizers, and such an environment with mixed allegiances and hidden beliefs may have influenced Shakespeare on his nuanced treatment of religion and politics in his plays. So now I'm going to talk about William Shakespeare education. And William Shakespeare most likely attended King's New School, that was a local grammar school located near his home because his father was a public official. This also helped William to get almost like a free tuition. The curriculum was rigorous and almost entirely in Latin, and the The language of scholarship students study mainly classic literature, works of Ovid like Metamorphoses, works of Virgil like Aeneid. Also, they study Cicero, Plautus, Terence, and Seneca. Another point that students study was rhetoric and debate with a heavy emphasis on, on persuasive speaking and writing. And lastly, on the last point, that the language of scholarship student study was the memorization and performance, and boys students almost always need to act out scenes in Latin and memorize and say large and extensive passages, and this also helped Shakespeare with his first experiences with the theater. This classical training deeply shaped William Shakespeare's writing style, themes, and mastery storytelling. However, around age 14 or 15, he may have had to go and leave the school because of his father's declining financial circumstances, cutting short his formal education.
Well, talking about the lost years from William Shakespeare, we say that it's from 1578 to 1582. For the time Shakespeare left school until his marriage, there is a gap in the historical record. These are known as his lost years. Scholars can only speculate about these activities during this period. Some theories about this time include: number 1, he was working as a schoolmaster or as a tutor. Number 2, he was assisting his father in the glove making and leather trade. Number 3, he was serving as an apprentice in law, trade, or possibly in theater. And number 4, we have traveling outside Stratford, or perhaps to explore other parts of England. But this lack of evidence has led to centuries of speculation. Now, talking about his marriage and his early adulthood, we can say that in November 1582, at the age of just 18 years, William Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway, a woman from the nearby village of Sutherland, who was just 26 years old. Their marriage license was issued quickly, likely because Anne was already pregnant. Their children were Susanna, who was baptized in May 1583, and Hanneth and Judith, which were twins, baptized in February 1585. After the birth of his twins, the historical records falls silent once again for several years, between 1585 and 1592. Little is known about Shakespeare's life. This period is often grouped into the second phase of his lost years, just before he reappears in London, launching his career as playwright and actor.
When Queen Elizabeth I died in 1603, her cousin, King James VI of Scotland, ascended to the throne as King James I. Shakespeare, by this time, was already an established and popular writer, and so the new king's appreciation for theater and for Shakespeare's company elevated Shakespeare's careers into new heights. Now we have the patronage and royal favor. Shakespeare's acting company, which was formerly called the Chamberlain's Men, was taken under King James' direct patronage and renamed the King's Men. This royal approval was a major honor. It not only gave Shakespeare's troupe prestige, but it also guaranteed them financial security, as they were regularly invited to perform at court. Now I am going to talk about King James's influence over Shakespeare's works. Well, basically, King James was fascinated by the supernatural, the witchcraft, and political legitimacy. This interest clearly influenced Shakespeare's writing during his reign. An example could be Macbeth, which is often called the Scottish play, as it is believed it was done to honor King James's Scottish heritage, as we knew that he was called King James VI of Scotland before ascending to the throne of England. And in this play we can see his obsession with witchcraft, which is shown with the witches that appear on the play. And the play also reinforces the importance of loyalty to a rightful king, which is echoing King James's political beliefs. We also have King Lear and Measure for Measure, which also reflects the importance of kingship, justice, and authority that were relevant to King James's reign. And Shakespeare's company often performed for James at Whitehall and Hampton Court, showing how central he became to the royal entertainment on this time. And now we have the legacy of their relationship. Well, King James's patronage ensured that Shakespeare's works were preserved and performed with consistency. Without this royal connection, Shakespeare might not have gained such stability and influence in the London theatre world. The King's Men remained one of the most successful acting companies of the age, and Shakespeare's reputation became tied not to just the Elizabethan period, but also the Jacobean era under King James I.